Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Project Ben Button. In this video, I'm going to do a complete walk around of Ben. I'll start with the exterior, then we'll peek under the hood. We're going to check out the interior and maybe even go for a ride. In future videos, I would like to feature other people's projects, whether they are still in progress, newly built, or have been finished. So if you or someone you know has a cool project and would like to share, shoot me a message or contact me on Instagram at RockingUploads. I'll put a link in the description. Alright, back to Ben. As you may know, Ben started as a USDM 1995 Subaru Impreza L, Special Edition. He was 110 crank horsepower, 1.8 liter, front wheel drive, automatic transmission, grocery getting monster. And this is what he looks like now. Okay, so let's talk about the exterior. And I'll start with the most obvious, the color. This is not a stock Subaru color. It is a gunmetal metallic gray that I chose from about 1 million samples. It's not crazy exotic, but it matches the overall feeling I wanted with this car, which is relatively low key. Now, speaking of low key, look at that big ass hood scoop. Yeah, I mean, some things you just can't avoid. I really wanted to keep the top mount setup. The hood is carbon fiber, and obviously I painted it. Now, going to the headlights, those are black glass units, and I've changed the marker lights to be amber. I converted the marker lights to turn signals because it just made sense to me. Where the signals would normally be are inactive housings, and I'm debating if I want to modify them to have them function as fog lights. The grille and the front bumper are Subaru OEM RS parts straight from the dealer. The fog light covers and the lip are aftermarket pieces. Now let's walk around to the side. Here we have 17 by 8.5 inch rims with a 35mm offset. I need to decrease my offset in order to clear the shocks and struts, and I knew before the build I wanted to have a deep dish lip. So, two birds with one stone. They are wrapped in really good 245/40 R17 summer tires, so I have really good traction once they get warm. With the wheel spec I chose, I had to modify the front and rear fenders. That definitely took some time to learn how to do some pretty mediocre body work. It is what it is. It's actually a long-term temporary solution. I eventually want to go wide body. Right now, I just don't have the workspace. Then I installed some smoked side markers, and I really wanted to add an exterior element from my 04 WRX. So I took the skirts from my GG wagon and put them on Ben, and I think they look great. Along the doors, you may notice that I removed the bump molding that comes on the US cars. I never really liked these. For one, I think they look way cleaner without them, and to replace them, they're like really expensive for what they are. So I took them off, cleaned out the areas, filled in the holes, and there you have it. Now in the rear, we have a mod that I've been wanting for about 20 years. JDM taillights. I always wanted them, but between all the other stuff I was doing to my cars and the price, I never got them. Now that I have them, it's totally worth it. They're so clean looking. I love them. There are some things that you can't see. The front and rear bumper supports are OEM Subaru lightweight JDM units. So that's pretty much it for the exterior, and now it's time to look under the hood. It's an EJ257 with forged internals, upgraded bearings and studs. Under the crank, I installed a windage tray and upgraded the oil pickup. For the heads, they are ported B25 heads with upgraded valves and springs, and the OEM non-AVCS WRX cams. I have my reasons, trust me. A ball bearing 18G turbo, heat wrap equal length headers and up pipe, a catted turbo back exhaust, an upgraded top mount, billet TGV deletes and fuel rails and braided lines. I have 1050X injectors with an adjustable pressure regulator, getting fuel from a 255 liter per hour pump. There's also a short intake, silicone inlet and pressure piping for the turbo, and aluminum radiator. For the trans, there's a lightweight flywheel and a stage 2 street clutch, all from the same manufacturer. And on the front of the crank, I have a fluid damper. And to transfer all that power to the rear is a carbon fiber drive shaft. Oh, I almost forgot. There is an oil cooler mounted on the bumper. Now, since we're under the hood, let's talk about output. My goal was always to have a reliable 350 wheel horsepower fun daily driver. I wanted to achieve this with stock cams, the stock WRX intercooler, pump gas, and I wanted to keep the boost under 20 pounds. I did have the stock WRX intercooler and the drive shaft when it was dyno tuned. The output, it was 333 horsepower and 330 foot-pounds of torque. And that was at 19 pounds of boost. And honestly, I'm really happy with those numbers. But I'm even more happy with how it is delivered. The torque comes in at relatively low RPMs, around 3600, and it carries that all the way into the 5 mark. And then from there, the horsepower takes over. And I guess this is where the part where I would insert my excuse of why it didn't hit 350. Sure, I wasn't present during the tuning. Like most people, I had to work. So I don't know what the restriction was in hitting that 350. But I can say that it was pretty a hot and humid day. It was like 90 degrees and 70% humidity. But that's the only excuse I can have. And honestly, I don't feel like I need an excuse. I'm really happy with the number and the delivery. And if I ever needed to, I could always turn up the boost a couple of pounds, and the risk will be very little that's involved. Okay, so that's pretty much everything under the hood. Now let's talk about suspension, brakes, and the chassis. Technically, everything is an upgrade because it has been upgraded to either a WRX or STI parts coming from a 95L setup. I do have some adjustable coilovers all around, adjustable front and rear strut bars and sway bars. All the bushings were replaced with polyurethane units. And that goes from the engine mounts to the rear diff mounts and everything in between. So to focus on the front, my front load control arms are JDM STI aluminum units. I also installed a roll center kit and increased the caster by replacing the bushings on the control arms. The subframe is a custom powder coated tube welded unit. The fenders are also tube units as well. In the stop, I have slotted and drilled rotors with upgraded pads and steel braided lines. Now the rotors are pretty cool because they have heat activated paint, so I can loosely monitor the temp reached. Now let's slide to the back. The rear subframe is also a 2-frame unit. The front and rear control arms are fully adjustable, and the brake setup is the same as the front. And I'm pretty sure that's it for the outside of the vehicle. There are definitely other things that were modified or replaced, but they weren't things I would consider upgrades. They were more so things that need to be done to make the car function properly or preserve functionality. So I did not mention them. Alright, so let's go on to the interior. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the 04 WRX Dash. I really like this upgrade. It makes the car feel more modern and a little bit more sleek. I always like the dash from my GDs. I will say that it was not an easy install, and still some things I have to tweak with it. But overall, I'm really happy with it. The cluster, I installed LED bulbs, so it's much brighter than the stock ones. I still have my dimmer switch working, so they don't blind me when I turn it on. Now for the gauges themselves, they have the matching OEM green color, and I'm monitoring boost, oil temp, oil pressure, and lambda. Now I'm relocating the oil pressure and lambda, so they're not going to show in the video. The next mod I really like and I really appreciate is my 3-spoke steering wheel I would recommend this to anybody that doesn't have like a modern steering wheel, because it's very comfortable, and overall it just adds to the driving experience. The fun part with that is just getting the horn to work properly. But now that I do, once I hit the horn, those rally horns, they just blast wherever's in front of me. The shifter is short, and I put on the OEM JDM STI knob. The seats are from my 04 WRX as well, and so is the pedal box. Now, when I was building the car, I did completely strip the interior, and I covered everything in sound deadening material, and I replaced the carpet, so everything is pretty much brand new. For the radio, it is a brand new modern radio, but it's adequate. The chassis is wired for 6 speakers instead of the original 4 speaker setup. I still have to upholster the door cards, and that's pretty much it for the cockpit. Going to the trunk, there isn't much. I did put some sound deadening material, and I put new black carpeting in the trunk, and the black and gray theme matches the interior with the black bottom and gray sides. And that wraps up the interior. So now it's time for a drive. The seats are very comfortable, and on cold start it is loud, but once the car warms up, you can actually have inside voice conversations whether you're at idle or at highway speed, obviously with the windows up. Now, the exhaust notes vary depending on how far I step down, but I'll let you listen and you can come to your own conclusions. In my opinion, the driving experience is pretty well rounded. I've driven it several times in 2-hour straight stints, and I didn't have a headache or need a chiropractor. It does take some time to get used to the handling, and that's because the caster correction, the steering wheel, and all the geometry changes that were made. The weight reduction of the car is very noticeable, and when you're coming out of the corner, you learn really quick that you must roll onto the throttle opposed to mashing the gas. With all the lightweight rotating assembly upgrades, the RPMs climb a lot quicker, and that low-end max torque can come out of nowhere and break the wheels loose if you're not paying attention. So yeah, achievement unlocked. It's a really fun car to drive. Now, it may not turn heads or win every race, but it's not supposed to. It's a way of expressing myself, and I enjoy the hell out of it. So all the planning and working, the early mornings and late nights, busting knuckles and destroyed clothes, missing or broken tools, waiting for parts, and encounters with really big insects, they were all worth it. So that's it for this video. If you like this walk around, please click like and feel free to subscribe. If you want to know the journey it took for me to get Benji here, check out my Project Ben Button playlist. I also have videos containing tips and tools for you to finish your project car. And with that being said, stay tuned and thanks for watching.